I noticed that when people felt good on the outside, it actually affected how they behaved.
I think we were just talking about this. Kind of weird because it literally alleviates a little bit. I find when your
Yes.
outer health is doing great, it takes away some of the pressure, some of the like the inward sort of really getting mad at yourself, all of that stuff. Because at least you look good. All right, here we go. Another episode of Canada on the Rocks. I am your host Patty Couder with Sutton Group Ottawa, and today I am joined with one of my friends, Michelle LeBlanc from OH Style. Now you guys just rebranded recently. Tell me a little bit more. Actually, let's take it back. When did you start?
So, and by the way, thank you for having me here.
I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
appreciate you making the time for us.
Yeah, very excited.
Very
to
busy
be here.
girl, very busy schedule.
Very much so, yes. OH Style started as a company called Outer Health.
Hmm.
And the reason for that is that my background is in psychology. So, being in psychology for 7 years, we would hear a lot about inner health, working on your inner health. And that's very important.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's not important, and I'm not trying to put a Band-Aid on it, but I noticed that when people felt good on the outside, it actually affected how they behaved.
I think we were just talking about this. Kind of weird because it literally alleviates a little bit. I find when your
Yes.
outer health is doing great, it takes away some of the pressure, some of the like the inward sort of really getting mad at yourself, all of that stuff. Because at least you look good.
Exactly.
If you look good, you feel good, and
You do.
most of the time, yeah.
You do. And that kind of started even in my first career as a hairstylist. I noticed that when I did somebody's hair, they just, for the day, for a couple weeks, they just walked different. They would talk to more
Oh, yeah.
people. They would just carry themselves differently in the world.
It's funny you say that because one of my really great friends was also on the podcast. He's a barber. He's my barber for the last, I want to say, 25 years. And literally, this is two things in one. When I go see him, it's like therapy. And in the same token, when I leave, I feel like a $1 billion. Not $1 million, $1 billion.
It's important in
So
this economy.
it's very, very important for me to like have that session once every second week or so.
Yeah, absolutely. So even at that, just talking to people, I had about 350 clients. This is not a flex. It's just how it was. And having that disconnect with the mirror, I feel like it made them open up a little bit more
Yeah.
because everyone was telling me all their secrets, whether I wanted to know or not. I'm a very confidential person, but things would open up. And I was just like, okay, there's a psychology component here. People are telling me so many things. I wish I could help a little bit more, but I don't feel like I have the tools to help the people the way I would want to. So I went into psychology, studied that for 7 years. I was doing masters, getting briefed for PhD. But even my professors, they would be like, oh, we're not supposed to comment on your attire, but you're always on point. Like, you understand the assignment every single time when it comes to wardrobe. Also in school, but you know what I mean? Like the wardrobe part, they're like, you present yourself like exactly the way you should every time. And I said, yeah, I've been a professional for a while. I've always put a lot of importance in that.
It's funny you say that because like every time you and I kind of see each other at a networking event, I'm always kind of like secretly looking for that sort of validation from Michelle about what I'm looking like that day.
Yes.
Weird, but
Yeah.
I'm letting on a secret here.
Yeah. And a lot of people are like that. Even like, I always say when you travel, when you're at the airport, you never know who you're going to meet. It might be your next big client. And when people go to the airport in their PJs or whatever, they're like, oh my God, Michelle's going to see me. She's going to be somewhere. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's the thing
So-
too. Like there is no, in my opinion at least, and maybe people think differently, but there is really like when you're dressing up, you can't go wrong.
No.
Worst case scenario, you just take off the jacket, you
Exactly.
change something, you'll dress down so you can feel like you're fitting in that occasion.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever felt like I'm out of place by being all dressed.
No. Unless you're doing too much, you can't be overdressed. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like if you're going in with a gown, nightgown or something like that, or sorry, not a nightgown, but like a full
ball
prom
gown.
dress
Yeah.
or ball gown, like
Yeah.
definitely you'll be out of
Yes.
place
Yes.
if you're showing up at a dingy bar.
Yes, exactly. So a lot of psychology in the background. And after, when I was doing my psychology studies, I got a scholarship to go study in Spain for a while. So I was there for 6 months. Nobody knew me. And within my first week, I think I dressed 2 people. So I was like, I think there's something about me, like maybe a billboard on my forehead that I can't see that says that I do this kind of stuff.
Style is your thing.
It is my thing. It is my thing. Yeah, I recognized myself over there. I was, it was just it was easy because when you're in Europe or even in the Middle East, as you know, like people have more of a flair a little bit. And I would connect with that. And I was just like, you know what, this is more like me. Like I don't have, as much of that North American, it's fine, I'll put on my sweatpants, go to the grocery store.
Sweatpants, jeans,
I've
call it a
never
day.
been like that,
Yeah.
right? So I was just like, okay, there is something here. And I would help people, and the psychology would really come into it. Like it was really outer health. Like I remember this girl, she was living with me, and she's like, you know what? She's like, I grew up in Mexico. Like it was like the big dresses, like overdone, the big hair, the big makeup. She's like, that doesn't reflect who I am at all. And I have to be on a stage and speaking to people. I have to look professional, but I don't know how to do it. Like I don't know how to do it otherwise and still feel like myself. So I was just like, okay, this is my time. This is my time to step into my power and use all the skills that I have. So I got her a dress, I did like very light makeup and hair. I don't do hair and makeup like usually, but that was just like a friend, And she delivered that speech like $1 billion. And she looked like $1 billion. And she didn't feel like she was outside of herself. And I think that's the most important.
And that's like as you mentioned, outer health is extremely important in that sense. You feel like you belong.
Yes.
The second that you're on point as far as the way that you dress, the way that you carry yourself, you're definitely, even if there's battles going in there, you're still going to feel much better. At least you're halfway done through that battle.
Exactly. It's just something that you don't have to worry about. So you can actually focus on the information that you have to deliver, like your area of expertise, because somebody else took care of the rest. So that all started, planting seeds for me. I was coming back. I'm from Moncton, New Brunswick originally. I was coming back there. I knew I wouldn't stay there for very long, so I started applying for jobs in psychology in Ottawa. I got one, like very quickly. So I moved here, and then I had never been here. I had been to like 25 different countries, but never to Ottawa. It's its own country.
It's different, for sure.
It's very different. And coming from a small fisherman village, and my family was still very proud. They always dressed up. I was just like, I don't understand. Like I took the bus. I would go downtown. People would go into work, like for the government or whatever, and they were not dressed like they were supposed to.
Yeah.
Like they were just.
Well, there's something to be said. Like, and again, I'm not harping on anybody that's working for the government. We know that 90% of Ottawa at least work for the government.
Yes, of course.
Like any household in Ottawa,
Yes.
90%. You cannot walk through downtown without like bumping into at least 5 people that work in the government.
Yeah.
Not harping on that.
No.
But there's something to be said about that security with the job that you don't really feel like you have to impress.
Yes.
And that's something sometimes like it kind of puts us at a bit of a complacency.
It does. And at the end of the day, you should do it for yourself. You should do it so that when you walk in front of the mirror, you're pleased with what you see. You feel happy. You're like, oh, wow. And I always tell people, and it's not about being judgmental. It's not about being like, oh, look at them. They're not dressed well. Not at all. Like I come very much from a place of helping, from a place of care and self-care and healing. I always tell people, I'm like, if you would run into yourself today, would you like what the person is wearing? They're like, no. I was like, okay, then we have some work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's and sometimes we're just in a rush. Like,
of
okay, if
course.
I'm running out to the grocery store, I came back from the gym. I am in my gym clothes. I look like a bum. It doesn't matter. Sure, it's a quick in and out. And believe it or not, because I'm not used to that, I'm always used to dressing up. I still have a little bit of anxiety about it.
Okay, I hope nobody sees me.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I hope none of my
Especially not
clients see
Michelle.
me. Like, they're not going to hire me looking like this,
Exactly. Yeah, because you could meet your next multi-million-dollar contract.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it's a one-off and it's fine, it's just, it can't become the norm.
Yeah.
That's what happens sometimes, right?
So, again, we're still kind of going around that question. When did outer health get sort of the birth?
Yes. So, on my way back from Spain, I knew that something had been like unlocked, unleashed, that I needed to take all my skills, all my studies. I mean, I went to school for a long time. It needed to be together so that I could do something very unique for myself. So I think I was on the flight back and I was just waiting for like takeoff or whatever. And I created a little Instagram page, a logo and I called it Outer Health. I decided the name right then and there, and I put a little photo, and I would just share information about materials, about, different clothing brands that I liked or whatever. And when I came back, I told my friends, had 3 followers, And yeah, then I was doing my work, I was doing whatever, and I was like, this is something that I will do on the side as I'm working in psychology, and then maybe, one day I'll grow it into something more.
So fast forward since that time, we're here today. What does that look like? And
Yes.
you just rebranded again. Tell me a little bit more about both.
Yes. So just like a quick jump. So it was Outer Health, but again, like I felt like I couldn't reach people enough because people have a hard time enough understanding what personal styling means for the everyday people.
Yeah.
They think it's just for celebrities. So adding a psychology component, it was not simple enough. You're like, what do you mean? Are you a psychologist? Are you a personal stylist? I was just like, well, I do. I've done both,
They do mix very well.
Yes, they do. They do. But people need simple and fast. And it's just like, okay, this is what it is. I need for them to understand that they need it. They need to understand what it is. Right. And that was my duty. That was to relay that message properly. So that's when I decided to rebrand to OH Style, because it's Outer Health, OH, and Style. When you have style in the name, people get it.
Yeah.
And then when they look me up and they look into me, they see that there's a deep psychology component to it. And then they get excited because they're like, wow, this is not just clothing. It's not just dressing. Like this girl, she will analyze me. She will look into why I'm stuck in certain ways, why I dress really well for work. And outside of work, I couldn't care less. Like there needs to be a balance there as well, right? So I love it. I love looking at all scenarios, at all different types of people with different, in different fields. And it feels to me very fulfilling. When I was in psychology, I felt like there were parts of me missing that I couldn't help as much as I wanted to. Now it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about like just finding sort of your passion, right? Like someone, I can't remember who quoted this, but there's a quote out there about, if you find what you love to do and you just kind of throw yourself into it, you never have to work a day in your life.
No.
You know what I mean? Because then it just becomes a hobby. Like this is your hobby becoming your career in a way.
Yeah.
So let's dig into a little bit about how you engage with clients. What do you do? How you do it? What's your philosophy?
So those would be 2 different things for me. Philosophy is different, but how I engage, I'm very much out there now. I'm very thankful. A lot of people know who I am. I attended all the networking events that I could. I made the right friends. I surrounded myself with like-minded entrepreneurs who we started trusting each other, and then they would refer me. So most of my work is through referral basis, but as our friend JC tells me, it's not enough. You got to do more. So I do more now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about just being able to just kind of get the business to come to you.
Yeah,
in a way.
exactly.
Yeah.
And now we're a little bit at that point. I don't want to be cocky. I don't want to be like, oh my God, it's coming. And I still have to do the work. I still have to do prospecting and go to networking events. But it's definitely a different playing field now. People come to me a lot more.
And what does that engagement look like? Like when someone comes to you, I'm speaking for myself. Let's say I want to engage with Michelle. I want to bring you in. What do I do? How do I do it? What's that, sort of plan looks like when you put it together? Give me a bit of an understanding of that.
Yeah. So people usually reach out to me. They're like, hey, I've been really struggling with my style, or I'm looking to step it up in my business. I want to reach a different type of clientele, or I've been middle management and now I've been promoted to a C-suite professional, and I don't know what that looks like for myself. I'm like, okay, that's where I come in. So we'll usually have a quick Zoom meeting, 20-30 minutes. It doesn't take me very long to assess the situation. We look at we talk about a little bit about what you like, what you have already, what you're looking for, maybe a couple of style icons, who do you idolize? What would you like to look like? What your budget is, of course, because it can go from here to infinity.
Oh, absolutely.
And then we start
nothing like
working.
a good suit, though.
I couldn't agree more. And typically I would come to your house. We would go through your closet, see what works, what doesn't, because shape assessment is very important as well. If something doesn't suit your body, it doesn't matter how expensive it is. It doesn't matter if it's the right color. It just doesn't. So we want to, to learn and to, like, I want to teach you how to look for those things, how to look for the things that suit your body very well. And then it becomes a lot easier for you to shop in the future.
Yeah.
So we see what the really great pieces are in your wardrobe, what you don't really connect with anymore, because sometimes you're not the person that you were 2 years ago. For you specifically, you change very quickly,
Changes.
you evolve a lot. Like you probably look at that and it's like, who was that guy? That's not
100%. And that's the thing too, like especially when you're in the sort of growth phase, you're always changing.
Yeah.
And actually, if you're not always changing, something is off. I
Exactly.
tell you, like you become stagnant, you become kind of stand still.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get that growth mindset
Of
and
course not.
really get where you want to be.
Yeah.
So change is good.
Change is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we see what works, what doesn't. I take a lot of notes. Then we go shopping. I take you shopping. We try a couple things. I'm also a master color theorist. So I know exactly which colors are going to look amazing on you, some that might wash you out a little bit. And sometimes if you're not feeling it, like the right color, the right fit, that can take you a long way. Especially with women, we spend so much time doing our hair, our makeup. Like if you need to go somewhere quickly, you want to have something that does the work for you.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for me, like I'm sharing some of my struggles as well too. One of the biggest things for me is like the wardrobe is full, but just knowing what piece goes with what piece is really the biggest thing. Like I'll sit there and I'm like, well, I have like 8 or 9 suits, maybe more.
Yeah.
But like, how can I dress myself in a way that it still looks good and like the colors are matching and like, you know what I mean? Like it just brings that sort of oomph a little bit.
Yeah. And that's where the outside perspective and the creative edge comes in. That's probably one of the most exciting parts for me, is to create something in your own wardrobe that you've never been able to do before, just because you're so used to looking at it through a certain lens, and it's just that, right? I was in the closet last night until like 9:30, and we put a couple outfits together. She was going to Miami. She was having a TV appearance. And the excitement. I have these things at home and I've never put them together and I look so good. I was like, yeah, you do look so good.
And that's the thing, is like just being able to kind of match the right top with the bottom, with the shirt and like all of that stuff to just make it really stand out.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I bring in, and then, I'll send little like inspiration board and things like that. We'll go shopping a couple times until like you're satisfied, you have all the missing pieces, and you can have a fully functioning wardrobe for exactly where you're going. Yeah.
Now, in terms of, when it comes to style, what are the main sort of, 4 or 5 things that are just important for you to look for?
Yeah. For me, and this might not be the answer you're looking for, I'm not sure, but it's a formula. So when it comes to style, there needs to be a couple elements of a few things. There needs to be, the textures need to go together, the colors, the fit. If something is maybe very loose on top, it should be tighter on the bottom. Like balance is everything. So when it comes to creating a style, you have to have balance in everything. If not, you might look a little off. When it comes to key pieces, I think everyone should have a suit. Everyone should have a couple blazers of different colors and good shoes, like good polished shoes, a nice purse or two for women. You don't have to have 500 of those. You can if you want to, if that's your passion, sure. But if you're trying to build a simple wardrobe, you should have a few key pieces that are high quality that you love. Because if there's one thing that I learned as a hairstylist back in the day, is that people look at the edges of things. So if something looks off on the outside, let's say you have threads hanging out, or the shoes are scuffed, or your purse is falling apart, everyone's going to notice.
You remind me of my military captain who used to be like, why is there a little thread hanging off your suit?
I will be that.
You know what I mean? Like,
person.
and he'll come over and he's just doing the inspection for all of us, and he'll just start burning stuff, like all of the threads off. Now you look great.
That's me.
And his philosophy used to be that if you don't look great, how are you representing your country? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you look great, you exude that sense of sort of, that control, that sense of like, I got my shit together in a way.
Yes. Have you watched The Diplomat?
No.
Okay, so there's one scene, she wants to run the country, and she's kind of chaotic, And something happened that morning, and she put a paperclip as her zipper for her pants. Is she VP? Not yet, but she's very close. She meets the president, and the president goes, "You want my job?" She goes, Yeah, I can do it." She goes, "Why are your pants like this? Like, why do you have a paperclip?" She's like, "Oh, I just, she's like, if you can't handle your pants, how are you going to handle my country?" And I thought that was the most brilliant thing, because it's very true.
Yeah.
If you don't care, why would people think that you would care about them?
And there's something to be said about also, like, the devil is in the details, right? Like, it's just that little extra that you do, that little piece that you put in there, or like, the hair back, or like whatever it is that you're doing, that little extra, it's really what's going to set you apart sometimes from the next person.
Yeah.
Like, someone can wear the same exact outfit, but that little additional sort of, accessory or whatever that goes with it, that's just going to make it stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, the devil's in the details. And that creates conversation. When you're well put together, people are interested. They want to come talk to you. They want to know what you're about, why your energy is so beautiful, and why you take, good care of yourself. And you want to carry yourself well in the world. It's because you see a good future for yourself.
Yeah.
So.
And I like how you also mentioned, like, that the textures have to match and stuff like that. Tell me a little bit more about that, actually.
Yeah, sometimes it can be very, very off, and people don't know why. They're like, I love these two colors. They seem to go well together. Let's say you have and I do this a lot because I love multiple patterns together. I think if you know how to do that right, you can look absolutely brilliant, because there is an art to it. So let's say you have, I don't know, like a blazer that's like a little bit louder, and then you have a shirt with like a smaller pattern. If they don't compete, they will work together. But if you have big checks on your shirt and big checks on the blazer, we don't know where to look. We get confused. You're confused. I'm confused. Everybody is confused. It doesn't look good. It's not flattering to the eye. There's something wrong, and everyone knows there's something wrong, but no one can explain it. They're like, I don't know.
It's just not sitting right. Yeah,
your instincts know when something is pleasing and something is right. So it's mostly that, competing either textures or patterns. If like something is loud in a texture, like let's say, I don't know, feathers, if you're going to sparkles, and then you have something else like a thick wool, it may just be too loud. Like, if I can explain a texture being loud, it's doing too much and competing with each other.
Yeah.
As opposed to have it in harmony. Yeah.
And as far as like the color combination goes, what are some of the color combinations that people can, maybe you can share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always love to do at least, well, not today. I'm dressed all in black. I felt like this, but
very powerful, by the way.
Thank you. I like to do at least a bold and a neutral. Let's say you're going all out and you have an orange blazer, then you want to do like a white t-shirt, dark denim jean. Like, you really want that balance. So bold plus a neutral and maybe like another different kind of neutral, then it balances itself out. So
it can be all bold or all neutral.
If it's all bold, you better know what you're doing. Again, it has to fit, and it can't be distracting. Some people, they've coined down their own personal style, their own essence so well that they could wear 3 neons, and you're like, yes, I don't know why, but I don't hate this.
Yeah, you can pull it off.
You can pull it off, and it depends on the personality as well.
Yeah.
We do a lot of color assessments where we have the swatches, we put it next to the face, and it's so funny. Some people with like a softer personality, especially for women, the smaller pattern, the small flowers, they go very well. And some others, it's the bold, loud, big patterns, and then you see it immediately on their face. They're like, yeah, that is who I am. That's what I feel comfortable
And I've
in.
noticed myself too, like when I'm talking to somebody and like I can feel like the pattern is not matching the personality.
Yes.
It throws you off because to me, it feels like they're just out of their comfort zone in a way.
They are. And it's not, ill-intended, but it is inauthentic because they're not feeling it either. And you're not feeling it, and it's just like, But when somebody walks in confidently within what they're wearing and what they've chosen, that radiates for miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.